Reb Nachman. Everybody knows Reb Nachman was the great-grandson of the Holy Baal Shem. The Holy Baal Shem Tov had two children, Herschele, a son, and Udele, his daughter. Everybody knows Udele, his daughter, was also a Rebbe. People would ask her for blessing, people would ask for advice. She was like Mamash Rebbe. Udele had a daughter, was named Fegele. And Fegele was called Fegele the prophetess. She was Mamash. She had clear sight from one corner of the world to the other. And she had a son, Reb Nachman. And just to warm our hearts, I want to tell you the story, which is really so very special, beautiful. A young man wishing everybody to find their soulmate. A person came to the Holy Baal Shem, and he says, I'm looking for my soulmate desperately. Hashem says, wait. Stay in Mezhebush. It's cooking, wait. A few weeks later, a young lady came and she says, I'm so desperate for my soulmate. I don't want to marry an ordinary person. I'm looking for somebody special. Hashem says, wait. Okay, to make it very short, the Baal Shem Tov said to this young man who asked him, whose name was Nachman. So he says to him, I found your soulmate. So the Baal Shem Tov made the wedding, and it was unbelievable. Just keep your heart open. And the Baal Shem Tov said to this young lady, which name I forgot, he said to her, whenever you need anything, you can always ask me. Okay, a few weeks after the wedding, the Baal Shem Tov sees that she is half her size. She's very sad. The Baal Shem Tov says, why are you so sad? She said, tell you the truth, my husband, I know he loves me, but we have never been together yet. After the chuppah, he went back to the synagogue to learn. He comes back every afternoon, and when we sit together, it's so beautiful. I know he loves me, and I love him, but he never stays more than a few minutes. But Shem Tov says, I'll talk to him. He calls in Nachman, he says, why aren't you with your wife? He says, Rebbe, you're asking me? You know yourself why. Because I know by clear prophecy that my wife, God forbid, never will die in childbirth. I don't want her to die. Come out, right? So the Holy Baal Shem Tov calls his wife and he says, your husband is not home because he loves you so much. You're a little girl, he wants you to live longer. She says, tell my husband, I don't care. I just want to be with him. So, he moved in home. Then a baby was born. Open your heart. When the baby was born, his mother said to God, Master of the world, I cannot believe that you should be so cruel. I carried this baby for 9 months, and now, when it's coming out, I'll die. Give me 4 weeks. She lived 4 more weeks, and she called this baby Simcha, because it was so sad. Wait. After that, this Reb Nachman came with the baby to the Holy Baal Shem and says, Mazel Tov, the baby was born. He says, and my wife asked to live 4 weeks, to be with the baby for 4 weeks. And this is a classic teaching from the Baal Shem. The Holy Baal Shem Tov says, do you know at that moment when a baby is born, all the gates of heaven are open? Why didn't she ask to live forever? Okay, this is one of the deepest Torahs of Nachman. We begin learning it on Shabbos. This month we're wiping out Amalek. Amalek is the arch-enemy of Israel. Amalek is the arch-enemy of every human being, especially of us Jews. Who is he? We're not talking now about physically a little brother Amalek running around. We're talking about Amalek, right? So everybody has Torahs. And this is one of the Torahs of Nachman. Amalek is the one who comes to you and tells you, you can't do it. You're not strong enough to do it. Imagine one day I wake up, Mamish, and say, Master of the world, from now on, Mamish, want to serve you. So, brother Amalek comes, a little voice on the inside says, whom are you kidding? I know you. You're a failure. You were a failure so far. I know you'll do it maybe for 3 days and then it's over. I want you to know something awesome. I could swear that 90% of marriages who end up in divorce, during the chuppah, during the ceremony, some people were standing there, Amalek, and they were saying to each other, I'd love to see how long this lasts. Shooting arrows. You know what the world is doing to us now in Israel? And I don't want to talk politics. The world wants to tell us it won't last. It won't last. Do you know how many young people want to do something and nobody gives them courage? Rabbi Nachman says this is the worst enemy. And you know, we always think a good friend is somebody who invites us for gefilte fish. Gefilte fish I can buy myself. Sadly enough, most friends we have are our worst enemies. Rabbi Nachman says it 1,000 times. Your enemies are not your enemies. They're cute and sweet. Your enemies are your friends who tell you that you won't be able to do it because they know you so well. Think they know you. So I want you to know, Rabbi Nachman says, there are two things a person has to be aware of. You can always begin, but even more so, you also have the strength to finish it, really to the end. And you see, it takes a lot of courage to begin. But this is not the deepest courage we need. The deepest courage we need is really holding out. And you know what holding out is? Not that I'm successful from beginning to end. That I'm a failure every day. But I'm holding out. Holding out. This is the deepest. You know, whatever you think of people, that's what you think of God. Whatever you think of God, that's what you think of people. You know what Amalek is telling us? Face it. You really think one day the world will be paradise, the world will be good? Look, God is trying for so many thousands of years, it doesn't work. Amalek is telling me the same thing about God also. About the whole world. Forget it. Don't waste your time, it won't happen. So you know what we're doing on Purim? We celebrate that it will happen. And on Purim we are living on the level that it happened already. On Purim there is no hate. On Purim, Swamish is living in another world. I don't know how many of you ever had the privilege really having a real Purim. You know, some people think you eat to Homentaschen, you know what Purim is. want you to know something. Our holy rabbis teach us, this is the deepest. The Gemara says, Yom Kippurim, that Yom Kippur is a little bit like Purim, but not really. On Yom Kippur, I'm standing before God, and I'm telling God all my failures, and ask for forgiveness. That's very nice. This is not the highest. Because who gave you the right to say something bad about yourself? In a certain deep way, this is Amalek is still hanging around there. On Purim, when I wipe out Amalek, I'm not saying anything bad about myself. And now listen to this. We are sending gifts to each other, not face to face. Why not face to face? I want you to open your heart. You know what I'm doing with my failures? I'm hiding them. I don't want you to know about them. When I'm successful, I can tell you. When I'm bankrupt, hard for me to admit it, right? I'm not calling it myself. Oh, thank God, another failure. Mazel tov, Baal Shem, I failed again. Do you know what we're sending gifts? I'm sending gifts to let you know, even that part which you are hiding from me, I give you strength. I'm giving you strength to that part which you think you have to hide. It's okay, because that's the way God wants the world to be. You only learn by mistakes. And here, I want you to open your heart in the deepest way. There is two kinds of learning in the world. There is learning 1 and 1 is 2, right? If you're not a complete idiot, 1 and 1, you take your 2 fingers, 1 and 1 is 2, right? Or take your toes, whatever's more available. Unless you have socks on, right? See, that's why the hippies were such good mathematicians. They could come and they had always the toes available. Mazel tov. Anyway, but then there's a different kind of learning. Do you know something? I'm getting married, and I buy a book on marriage. It was $5.95 second hand. So I'm learning, and I know every word in the book. Do I know how to do it? No. Because the real things in life, you only learn by mistake. And you see, when you fail, you make mistakes. This is the deepest teaching. This is the deepest process of learning. I want you to know, when you study the Talmud and you say you understand it, you're out. If God blesses you, you're on the level that you don't understand, you're on the way to learn it. I tell you something very deep. I'm sure some of you remember, Rabbi must remember it from Israel, I said it 1,000 times. I'm sitting on the subway in New York, going to Borough Park. How far can you go? Next to me is this absolute beautiful girl, and Mamash, I could swear she's my soulmate. I ask her, what's your name? Chanale. Take up my pen fast. Chanale. What's your number? 435-6611. Gewalt. Number in Borough Park. I write it down. Next day I call her up, take her out. 4 weeks later we're married. Does it blow your mind? No. The crazy thing, I'm sitting next to this girl. I don't have a pen, I don't have paper. And she's leaving the next stop. She says to me, 435-6611. Going out from the subway, says 435. But till I got home, I don't know anymore if it's 6611 or if it's 1166, and maybe it's 4356. Do you know something? For 2,000 years, I dialed every combination. And one day, Gewalt, she's on the phone. Do you know how deep this is? So will you tell me now it's the It's the same marriage like if I would have had the pen and the paper in my hand now. Something else. And here I want you to open your hearts in the deepest way. Mount Sinai is the straight teaching. Four corner tzitzis, don't eat ham. Everything is straight learning. Yerushalayim is a city of mistakes. Everything is mistakes. You know what David HaMelech is the one who built Yerushalayim? David HaMelech is the master of mistakes. David HaMelech always made mistakes. But you know what he did? He never gave up. David HaMelech is Chol Chai V'Kaim. He lives forever. There is no mistake in the world big enough for him to give up. Why is right after Shabbos we have the feast of King David? Because right after the week I know I'm going to make too many mistakes this week. So King David gives me strength. So what? So you made a mistake. So what? So now listen to me, friends. The learning of mistakes doesn't come from your head. It's a different kind of learning. You know, Purim, I'm not even learning. I'm so busy sending out gifts. God bless you. I'm so busy doing all kinds of things. Purim, I'm drunk. You know what drunk is? I'm learning beyond my head. Beyond everything in the world. And here I want you to know, Purim is the utmost fixing of the tree of knowledge. What's the tree of knowledge? I know it. This is good and this is bad. What's the tree of life? Has nothing to do with right or wrong, good or bad. Listen to me, I meet this girl, Chanele, and the question, should I marry her? Someone says to me, yeah, she's a good girl. The question is not if she is good or bad. The question is she my soulmate? The tree of knowledge doesn't know that. The tree of knowledge knows only it's good or bad. It's holy or unholy. And here I want you to open your heart. Because what's wrong with the tree of knowledge? Don't you have to know what's right and what's wrong? This is the deepest turn in the world. Before Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, they were connected to the highest place in heaven. And their knowledge of good and bad didn't come from their head. So much deeper. So much deeper. It was like from beyond. When they ate from the tree of knowledge, their knowledge of good and evil became knowledge. I read it in Reader's Digest. I picked it up in the yellow pages. Outside stuff, head stuff. So take the world. They don't know they shouldn't kill. They'll still kill, right? You think knowledge makes a better person out of me? No. But that knowledge from above, if I'm connected to the highest place in heaven, if this kind of light shines into me, this gets to my bones. Mamish reaches me in the deepest depths. You know, friends, sometimes you learn something and you know it, but it doesn't touch you. And then sometimes you hear one word and it reaches you in the deepest depths. Anything which does not touch you is from the tree of knowledge. So you know it, Mazel Tov. If you learn something, what was the whole thing of all the big Rebbes, right? Big Rebbes, God. Every word they uttered came from the tree of life. I have to tell you something awesome. You know the two words, Chen and Chesed, grace and love. So I'm saying it, so what? Nothing happens. Won't you know, when I was the Heilige Bobover Rebbe came to America. The first Rebbe who came over after the war. The Rebbe who, not only he lived through the war, he had the privilege of saving thousands of people. Do you know that he organized coal trains? Because in one of the concentration camps, Nebuch, the people were working on coals. He organized a coal train that on top were coals, and under it were hundreds of Yidden Nebuch lying there, covered by coals, smuggled out. Awesome, 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 awesome. He smuggled out hundreds of babies, maybe thousands. But besides everything else, he had a wife and 7 children, and only one boy survived. He carried him. So then the Bover Rebbe, his son got married. So on one hand, it was beautiful. On the other hand, you can imagine how he was missing all the other children, right? It was the highest wedding I've ever seen in my whole life. High is not the word. Even that is too low. But before the chuppah, you know, a Rebbe, you go up, you give a Rebbe a piece of paper with your name, you ask him for a blessing. So there was thousands of people. There was no time for long speeches. I remember the Rebbe was sitting. I walked up to him, and he held my hand, and he says, "Chayin v'chesed." Blessed me with chayin v'chesed. Pierced my soul. My toes are still shivering when I remember it. Wasn't that a little information and a tree of knowledge? You know, I can walk up to a girl and say, "I love you, tree of knowledge. Thank you very much." I can walk up to a girl, "You know, I love you so much. I'd love to marry you." Another information. "Thank you so much. Call me next year." Or don't call me. Someone who talks to you and it's not information. It's for real. It's a tree of life, right? Oh, it's that deep. Gewalt is that deep, you know. See, without getting involved in this, well, it's clear to me, with the stand of Peres and Rabin, the Amshn of a Rebbe would deal with the other side. Ah, God. If you would talk to them from the tree of life, they would melt away. Because the tree of knowledge has no dominion over the tree of life. So you hear, friends? So you know, on Purim we're not learning from books, even holy books, because I don't want information on Purim. On Purim I connect myself, mamish, to the highest of the highest of the highest place in heaven. What is the snake all about? The tree of knowledge is a snake. The snake eats earth, and the snake bites the person in the soul. You know what the snake is doing? Dragging everything down. Disconnect yourself from above. Down. And you remember we were learning the snake. You think when the snake eats steak, it tastes like steak. Everything tastes like earth, like nothing, like dust. Dust. Have you ever seen people, those snake dust people? Everything is nothing. Nothing. I want you to know something. If I want to give a gift to the snake should not say it's dust. I would have to give a lot, and even then it'd still be dust. God bless you. God bless you. listen, I'm sending to the Queen of England 1 apple and 1 piece of cake. Not even a whole cake. 1 cut piece of cake. You know what it is? It's an insult. It's dust. It's nothing. You think I, the Queen of England, need your apple and your piece of cake? You know what I'm doing on Purim? I'm sending you 1 apple and 1 piece of cake. And I want you to know Rabbi Yitzchak Berditcher would kiss everything he gets. Because it's so holy. It is so holy. You think in order to show love to someone, you have to give them $2 million or a mink coat? 1 piece of cake, right? I told someone, one of my highest poems was when my little girl Daria, my number 2 daughter, was 4 years old. So she wanted to bring me shlachmunas, but just going from one room to the other, she was hungry. She ate already half the cake. She was the cutest. So till it got to me, it was just, a 3/4 eaten piece of cake. But you know something? That piece of cake still carries me. Unbelievable, right? I can have $2 million and buy all the cake in the world. But where can I get this 3/4 eaten piece of cake from my daughter? On Purim I get it. Purim is deepest. Deepest, 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 deepest. And you see what it is? On Purim it is clear to me that nothing can throw me off. Nothing in the world. And you see, on Yom Kippur, I'm standing here before God and I say, I'm sorry, I'm such a failure. I made so many mistakes, I'll have to do tshuva. On Purim, I'm not doing tshuva. I don't even bother doing tshuva. On Purim, I'm so glad that there's one God. I'm so glad that I'm a Jew, Gewalt, Gewalt. Who cares? Who cares? I have to tell you something unbelievable. It's good for some of us to know. The Heilige Ostrovtze, someone asked him, I have a neighbor who is not really 100% Frum. He sent me shlachmonis. Am I permitted to eat it? Because maybe it's not kosher. So the Ostrovtze answered him in the most unbelievable way. Why did Mordechai and Esther initiate that you should send out items to eat? They could have said, send each other a penny, $1. Why eat? He said, if you remember, the only person who did not eat by the feast of Achashverosh, which was not kosher, was Mordechai, right? So then when all the Yidden did tshuva and they got together again, they said, send each other food. Because, let's face it today, the Yidden would say, listen, I know you were there. I can't trust your kashrus. You ate by Achashverosh's feast. The whole idea is that I trust you. It's awesome, right? I want you to know God trusts you as much as you trust others. As simple as it is. Sadly now we are so much out of trusting. And we always know what you did yesterday. Yesterday. And here I want you to know something very deep. If you learn from a book, where does the knowledge come from? Yesterday I read the book, and today I'm judging.